Hi everybody, I hope you're having a fabulous day. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Today we're going to do a Q&A. So I asked on my stories on Instagram for just general questions about anything. Obviously in general it's going to be hair, but I said they could be about anything really. And I have some of these questions right here on my daughter's iPad because I don't have one. First of all, today was wash day and I washed my hair. I used the hair therapy gelatin mask, which I love, absolutely love. And then I used some of my favourite styling products. I used Curl Keeper leave-in conditioner, original and gel, which always give me amazing results together. So yeah, I'm really happy with my hair. I'm on my swivelly chair, which makes for the easiest full hair shots. I'm gonna get on with the Q&A. I'm not going to try and say everybody's Instagram handles. Sometimes they can be really hard to pronounce and I'll probably do it wrong, but I'll put the questions here anyway. So the first question is, my hair tends to need serious definition, but a brush with leave-in and gel isn't enough. What to do? Saying your hair needs serious definition, I'm guessing that you mean you don't feel you have enough definition. So you could try finger coiling, which is when your hair is wet and you have styling products in it. You take the sections of hair and you finger coil them. That can give you loads more definition. It doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for all curl types. It does not work for me. But if you check out Curly Green Eyes over on Instagram, she recently tried finger coiling and she had insanely good results. Absolutely amazing. Her definition was off the charts. There's loads of finger coiling tutorials on YouTube. I'm pretty sure Honest Liz has got a few. But yeah, just search in YouTube, search finger coiling, and you'll definitely see some tutorials. That might help. It does take more time, but that might help with the definition if you're really struggling. Also, just making sure your hair is really well balanced, that you've got a good balance of protein and moisture. We are going to come to that a bit later because some of the other questions touch on the protein moisture balance. In fact, the very next question, how can I find out what my hair needs, moisture / protein, and what products are best? So this is a really big question, the whole moisture protein balance, and one that I think is really important. For me, when I learned that my hair was super protein hungry and needs a lot of protein, it was like a light bulb moment for me. It made a huge difference to my hair. I always thought that when I grew out my dye blonde hair, that my hair would need much less protein, but it was the opposite. Because my hair is naturally high porosity, actually it just wants loads and loads of protein, and because it's healthy, it doesn't need all that much moisture anymore. Figuring out that balance for you is going to be different for everyone, and it can even be different for you at different times in your journey or different times of the year. But figuring out where that sweet spot is for you between too much protein, balance, too much moisture, and anything in between is really important. So the best way is to feel your hair, get your hands in your hair and figure out how your hair feels when it's balanced. And I know that's easy to say, but as a rule of thumb, she says with her thumb up, as a rule of thumb, if your hair feels really soft, it could even feel almost mushy, a bit like cotton wool or like overcooked pasta when it's wet. If it feels like so soft and mushy, then it probably means it's over moisturized. Also, if the curls just drop out, if it's just a bit limp and kind of just giving up the will to live, won't hold a curl, that generally means that your hair needs protein. It could be over moisturized. On the other side of the scale, if your hair feels really dry and rough and a bit like straw, and it's breaking really easily, then that could mean that you've got too much protein. It could be a bit of a protein overload, or just that you need a lot more moisture. So those are kind of the general rules of thumb, but you have to get to know your hair, figure out what you're putting in your hair. So learn to look at your ingredients labels and to recognize the ingredients that mean protein. Usually it will say the word protein or amino acids. The word hydrolyzed doesn't mean protein, but often proteins are hydrolyzed. So it can be an indicator that an ingredient might be protein, and then you can just Google that ingredient to find out whether it is or not. Google's really your friend when it comes to ingredients. The products that you're using, if they all contain protein and your hair is feeling dry, then you can link that together in your mind and think, right, okay, so I need to pull back on the protein, maybe even need to come back from it all together and just give my hair loads of moisture until it feels more balanced. Or if your hair is just not right, your curls aren't holding, and you look at your products and you realize there's no protein in any of my products, then you can put those two pieces of information together in your mind and think, right, okay, so I probably need to add some protein. So how your hair feels and behaves and what are the ingredients as far as protein and moisture go on your products, when you put those pieces of information together, you can usually figure out a good plan of action. So if you decide your hair has too much protein, it's got protein overload, you want to pull back on all the protein containing ingredients straight away, do a deep condition, make sure it's one that doesn't have protein in it, and you can actually add a spoon of salt, like a tablespoon of that in your deep conditioner, and that will help remove the protein buildup. And if you determine that your hair needs protein, then you could do something like a gelatin treatment, which is a DIY protein treatment, or you can find really good protein treatments on the market, like the one I used today, the hair therapy gelatin mask. That's a really good one too. You could do a beer rinse, perhaps if you're vegan, or if you just fancy trying that, that's another good one. But I have loads and loads and loads of information on protein moisture balance over on my Instagram page. I have a highlight on it, and I am planning to do a full YouTube video about the protein moisture balance at some point too, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So the next question is a little bit touching on protein as well. It says, if I use conditioner with protein for every wash day, will I suffer from protein overload? So the answer to that is it completely depends on your hair. I use a conditioner that contains protein pretty much every single wash day. I use the Naughty to the Rescue conditioner almost without fail. It's my all-time favorite conditioner, and it contains protein. My hair loves it, and it's never given me protein overload. However, there will be a lot of you out there that if you were to use protein every wash day, you would go into protein overload. So it's about learning how much protein your hair wants at any given time in your journey. So again, what we were talking about feeling your hair, knowing the signs. So the next question, how to keep hair smelling fresh between wash days? That's a really good question. Smelly hair and smelly scalp seems to be something that's really individual. So it's not something I have much of an issue with, probably because I don't really have a greasy scalp or greasy hair. So I don't think that my hair smells, even if I go a week between wash days. And certainly my husband has never told me that it smells, and I've asked him and he says it doesn't. But it's a really good question, because I know, for example, my daughter, even if her hair's freshly washed, sometimes you can still just smell that hair smell. It's not a terrible smell, it's just a hair smell, and some people really don't like that smell. So I have a few options for you. The first option is a dry shampoo. So this one's this is my absolute favorite. That's the Hair Dance Volumizing Dry Shampoo, and smells delicious. This one is the lavender. They also have, it's the same stuff, just a bigger bottle. That's the grapefruit scent, and I haven't tried the grapefruit yet. This one I've used a lot, and I absolutely love it. And because it's got that nice smell, it will freshen up your scalp and your hair, and also it's volumizing, and it's a dry shampoo, so win-win. Another option is to use a nice smelling oil. I really like the Sumilai oil. It's got a gorgeous citrusy smell, and just literally 2 drops rubbed onto your hands and just massaged into your scalp, maybe at night before you go to bed. It's not going to make your hair greasy if you're just using a couple of drops and you rub them into your hands well first, and that can really help. And it also is really good if you have a bit of a itchy, irritated, dry scalp. Doing that throughout the week can really help as well, and helps it smell nicer too. Okay, next question. My hair is too short for a pineapple at night. Wake up frizzy, any advice? Okay, so first of all, a satin or silk pillowcase is a must, absolute must. Doesn't have to be silk. Silk has got extra benefits, but satin works really, really well as far as your hair is concerned. Basically because the satin or the silk is slippy, and your hair will slip on the pillow rather than being kind of caught on a regular cotton pillowcase, and then that causes it to become frizzy. What I do is use this, which is my Buff, or multifunctional headwear is the name. Buff is a brand name. This is not a branded one. This is a cheapie off Amazon, and I will link my video where I show exactly what I do and all of my tips for getting it to stay on your head all night. But it's absolutely brilliant. I use this all the time. I have a few of them. The ones I have, it was like a pack of 6 on Amazon, and it was less than £10. I have linked very similar ones in my Amazon store as well, although my Amazon store is a US one because they won't give me one in the UK, and I don't know why. Don't talk to me about it. I'm very upset. not really. But anyway, that would be my answer. If you feel that this doesn't work for you, then there's something called Medusa clipping, which basically is just a case of taking your hair on top of your head and using a claw clip and just clipping it in place, and then you do it in sections. So if your hair's short, obviously it's not going to get all the way to the top of your head, but you can take it up as far as you can in sections. So the next question is, why is my hair sometimes frizzy even when it's wet? What a great question. So wet frizz can be caused by a number of things. For me, it's always a sign of my protein moisture balance being off. But it could also be that you need to clarify, maybe you've got some build-up. It might be that you need to add protein or you need to add moisture. So refer to what we said at the start of the video to determine which you need to add. But generally I would say it's a fixable problem. Something is off somewhere. You also might want to try squish to condition, which I'll link a video on how to do that, where you squish in your conditioner and water when you condition your hair. That can really help. On the other hand, that can actually cause frizz for some people. So what I do is, after I've squished all the water and conditioner into my hair, I comb it through with my Curl Keeper Flexi brush, and that just smooths it all out and creates these amazing clumps, which if you look at almost any of my wash day videos, I show doing that. You can see exactly what I mean. That should reduce your frizz as well. So the next question about diffusing. Diffusing upsets the shape of my curl pattern of my shoulder length hair. Not sure why. So with diffusing, it's all about your diffusing techniques. So years ago, when I used to diffuse my hair, I would be diffusing and moving it about constantly and touching my hair all the time and just creating a big frizzy mess, basically. I still did it because I hate air drying, because I hate having wet hair. But there are a few different methods of diffusing you can use. One is called pixie diffusing, and that is where you have your hair dryer on your diffuser, you have it switched off, you put it in place. I'm going to demo it. I'm going to demo it with my my Diffon, which I love. So basically you would have it switched off, you'd put it in place, then you would switch it on and you would hold it still for maybe, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, however long you want. Switch it off, then gently move onto the next section. Switch it on for however long, switch it off, and then move it. So that's pixie diffusing. Another thing you can do is hover diffusing, which, pretend this is on. You would just basically hold the diffuser like this. And I do this technique for my roots before I then cup my hair with the diffuser. So I start off by diffusing my roots. I tend to lift them with my fingers and aim the dryer. But you can just hover diffuse like that your entire head if you want. You don't have to cup the hair in the diffuser if you don't want to. Those are some tips that I found made a huge difference to my diffusing game. Just kind of treat your hair with care. Try not to move it about too much while you're diffusing, and see if that makes a difference to not breaking up your curl pattern so much. So the next question is an interesting one. Should you have a professional cut before starting the curly girl method to remove most of the damage? So the short answer to that would be not necessarily. I don't think it's necessary. It depends on how damaged your hair is. So if your hair is like so bleached beyond recognition, absolutely won't curl, it's just like crumbling in your hands, then you know what, maybe. But give your hair a chance. In most cases, I would say give your hair a chance first. Just give it a few weeks to recover, not using any heat, using good quality products, not using sulfates and silicons on it, and just see what happens. You might be surprised at what your hair can do given a little bit of care. Then after a little bit of time, if you still think you've got like really dead ends or the shape is really off, then go and get yourself a nice haircut. It doesn't have to be a curly specialist. You can go and get a wet cut with layers if that's your thing. Just whatever works best for you. Okay, the next question is, my clumps break up even when using praying hands for gel application. Please help. And a little pleading face. Oh, well, clumps are going to break up, first of all, I would say. So those amazing juicy clumps you get like after you've conditioned, and they're all my hair will sit in like 4 or 5 perfect clumps. So my hair's all over the front, you know. And so I have these 4 or 5 perfect clumps. But my hair's not going to stay in 4 or 5 perfect clumps, because if it did, could you imagine how it would look? I mean, can you imagine if my hair was just in 4 clumps? So actually, you want your clumps to break up a little bit for your hair to look normal. So for me, when I'm leaning forward, I've got these clumps, I will tip my head, you know, to the side and shake it and all the way around, shake my head like a mad thing, to let my hair fall down, and then I will start applying my products. I tend to just go straight to scrunching. I don't tend to do praying hands. I just scrunch my products straight in, and as I'm adding the products in, at this point my clumps usually start to reform somewhat, but of course they're much smaller than they were before I started adding my styling products, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. So don't worry too much about it. So the next question is asking for suggestions for a sulfate-free shampoo that gets rid of buildup well. Well, my suggestion would be the Naughty Buildup Buster, because it's actually a chelating shampoo, which means it removes hard water buildup, which is a killer. I'm really fortunate. I've got lovely soft water up here in the Highlands of Scotland, but if you live in a hard water area and you have hard water buildup, that can be a really nasty thing. It can be a really difficult thing to combat, and you need chelating ingredients in your shampoo. You don't have to use it every wash. You might just want to use it once a month or however often that you need to, but that is one of the few sulfate-free shampoos that have chelating ingredients. It's really an excellent shampoo. I used it today. I forgot. I don't have hard water, but it's just a really, really good clarifying shampoo. That would be my recommendation. Next question, how do I use hair oils? Well, I mean, there's so many different ways to use them. Personally, I don't tend to like to put a lot of oil just like straight on my hair, because it can be really hard to remove and it can build up. However, like I mentioned before, I'll use, you know, an oil like this Sumilai one. I use just a couple of drops on my scalp, do a little scalp massage before bed. I also use it for an overnight pre-poo, so it's the same thing, it's just a scalp massage, but I'll use more of the oil and leave it on overnight, wash my hair the next day, and it's really, really good for like a dry, itchy, flaky scalp. It will really, really help with that. You can also use a couple of drops of oil just rubbed onto your hands before you scrunch out the crunch after you've dried your hair. I used to do that religiously. I don't anymore. I think just as my hair's gotten healthier, it's just not really needed it. But I used to find it was great for stopping my hair from frizzing up when I scrunch out the crunch. So if you find that touching your hair makes it frizz, then try just a drop or two, literally a drop or two of oil on your hands first, and you might find that that helps. I like this question. It said, not sure that if this is the kind of question you meant, but do you wear falsies lashes? Well, I'm not today. These were my own. Model's own. But yes, I love these. These are my magnetic lashes, and I bought them off Amazon, and they were, again, less than £10. Oops. Ooh. Let me show you the unused ones. So that's them there. The ones I used, I'm just going to show you them, although they look a bit dire because I've cut them. I don't know why I've still kept the funny little bit that I cut off. I don't know why, if I just thought maybe I would use them just as like a wing one day. But they are magnetic, as you can see, they're magnetized onto the strip here, and it comes with a little tube of magnetic black eyeliner, and so you just put your eyeliner on and then they attach, and they're amazing. Absolutely love them. Again, I have them in my Amazon store, which is a US Amazon store, but you can have a look on my Amazon store, see what they're called and what they look like, and then search in the Amazon of your country. But I really do love them. Next question, how short are your layers? Do you use pins or clips to keep all of your hair up in a pineapple? So my layers are this short. So if I pull them straight, they're about cheekbone. If I don't pull them, they're about eye level. And for my hair, I need short layers for the top of my hair to curl. Even now that it's so healthy, it still just needs to be shorter on top for it to curl well. So I do have quite short layers, but I still don't tend to need to use clips or anything when I pineapple my hair. There's some bits that fall down underneath, but not so many. So I really like this question. How and when do you decide on what kind of refresh you do? So first of all, generally I don't refresh. My choice is no refresh. If I can get away without refreshing, I will not refresh. I like to just whip off my buff in the morning, give my hair a shake, let it settle, and then that's it. And then maybe a bit of the hair dance dry shampoo, and then that's me. But there are days where perhaps my hair's looking good, but I just want to tweak it slightly, maybe want to make it last a bit longer. Maybe there's a bit of more frizz than I would normally have that I want to tame. Perhaps I haven't had time to like line up my wash day plans for events, and it's maybe kind of day 3 or 4. I'm not ready to wash it again, but I want it to just look a bit better. So generally I choose a dry refresh, which would just be taking a little bit of product on my fingers and just going over curl by curl, smoothing over the curls and kind of just reincorporating any frizz back into the curls. If I think my hair needs a little bit more than that, then I would add some water, but I never spray my hair with water because it will not thank me. It will just frizz right up and just be terrible, lose all definition. So what I do if I am going to add any water is I just wet my hands. That refresh method is known as the Maurice's Refresh from way back near the start of my Instagram page, where I shared that this was how I refreshed, and a lot of people seem to find it works well for them. So again, on YouTube or Instagram, if you type in Maurice's Refresh, you can see my full refresh video, and it's just basically water on my hands, add a little pea-sized amount of product, maybe a gel or something, emulsify it, and then praying hands just to get it through the hair. And then again, I go over individual curls and just kind of smooth them into place, gentle scrunching, and then air dry or diffuse. That's the most of a refresh that I will ever do. It's been such a long time since I fully re-wet my hair to refresh. If I'm going to do that, I kind of may as well wash it. So those are generally my levels of refresh. Occasionally I'll do a dry mousse refresh. I actually happen to have this here. This cake, the Curl Whip mousse, is a really, really nice one for a dry mousse refresh. I never thought a dry mousse refresh would be something that would work, but it's really, really good. Just literally scrunch mousse into your dry hair. Works a treat. And I have a video on YouTube showing me using that mousse. I think it's that mousse. Nope, it's not that mousse. I have a video on YouTube showing exactly how I do a dry mousse refresh. If you just scroll down through my videos, you'll find it, or I'll link it here. Okay, the next question. Have you tried cutting your own hair? If you did, please share some tips. Thanks. Well, I actually always cut my own hair. In the almost 4 years since I've been on my healthy curl journey, I've only had one cut from a hairdresser who was a curly specialist. The rest of the time I've cut my own hair. So I have a full video showing exactly how I do that. I cut it dry, I cut it curl by curl, literally individually cut each curl. And that's how I create the shape that I want and get the layers I want. I will link that video on one of these sides of this video. I always do this, but actually it's this. Be professional, Marisa. Such a rookie. So the next question, how do you deal with day 2 frizz? Well, generally I just deal with it and I just ignore it and don't care and get on with my day. But if it's really, really bothering me, then I will do one of those refresh methods that I mentioned, usually just a tiny bit of curl cream and smooth it over on individual curls. Okay, the next question. The bottom layer of my hair has no curl and never curls no matter what I do. Help! So everybody has a mixture of curl patterns. So as you can see, this bit of my hair is very straight. This is almost as curly as it gets. And it doesn't matter what I do, that's just the curl pattern for that section of hair. And I have other sections at the back too, like, see, almost straight. So it just depends on where on your head the straighter bits are. So although I have some straighter bits here today, generally the underneath of my hair is the curliest. So if you're finding that your underneath layers are the least curly, then when you get your hair cut, whether you do it yourself or go to a hairdresser, get them to bear that in mind. So they might want to slightly bring up the longer lengths, so there's not such a difference between like your first layer and your length, because if there's a big difference, then you're going to see them more. But if you keep the length of your hair a little bit, almost slightly tucked behind the curlier hair, then you're just not going to see that it's not as curly and it's not going to hang down straight underneath. So that's one of the reasons why cutting curly hair dry can be good if you have this multiple mix of different textures and different curl patterns. Then you can see which parts of your hair are less curly and more curly, and then cut it accordingly. My favorite styler, holy grail styler, please. This is so hard. I mean, there are so many, like I could get like 6 or 7 products out and be like, these are all my favorites. But I have picked one, and it's the Curl Keeper Original. I don't use it by itself, I always use it under something else, but whenever I use it, it's just so good. Like it's almost like, you know, when you do your makeup and if you get a really good primer, it makes everything else look better, last better, and or you know, a really good moisturizer. That's what I feel like Curl Keeper Original is. It's like a really good primer, and I just couldn't be without it. I just love it. So good. Makes my hair more clumpy, and it makes my wash day results last days longer and look better for days longer than without it. Absolutely love it. What's the drying difference between the Dyson and your new dryer, the Bellissima? Well, I happen to have them both here, and I'm going to show you the difference. Ugh, try not to get tangled in the wires. Ooh. Okay, so here's my Dyson. So the Dyson claims to be lightweight. It's fairly lightweight, but the Bellissima is a lot, I would say significantly lighter. And as you can see, the shape of them is just completely different. So the Dyson is different to a normal hairdryer in that it's, you know, it's stubby, it's not very long. And then the diffuser is magnetic, which is great. I absolutely adore my Dyson. It is so fast at drying my hair. That is my absolute favourite thing about it. And it doesn't blow the hair about, so I get less frizz than with a regular dryer. However, the Bellissima takes longer to dry my hair than the Dyson, but I mean, the Dyson costs £300 and this costs under 40. So it has 2 settings, whereas the Dyson has multiple speed and multiple heat settings. This just has kind of low and high, and it's low and high, heat and speed, low and high. And then, sorry, low heat and speed and high hot and speed. No, I still can't say it right. Low heat and speed and then higher heat and speed. Now, it doesn't get super hot, I don't find. It's got a decently deep bowl, and I really like the fingers, the prongs. It's really, really easy to hold, but it does take longer to dry my hair than the Dyson. The end results, I would say, are the same, which is amazing considering the price of the Bellissima. So those are all the questions for today. I hope that the answers were helpful to you. I hope that you found it interesting. If you have any burning questions that you want to ask me, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to your comments. But also, if there are enough, I can make another Q&A video in the future. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you would like to see more videos from me. And if you'd like more curly content, I have loads over on Instagram. Marisa's Curls on Instagram, and the specific products I've mentioned today, I will link them in the description box for you as well. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you soon.